It's time for another blistering report from the front lines of the cultural war for a constitutional America. And now, here's your host, Charles Benninghoff.
A state senator from Washington has proposed a new bill, and I like his idea so much that I wanted to mobilize patriots across the breadth of America to call for a federal version of his bill. Senator Doug Erickson wants to classify some illegal protests as economic terrorism, and the bill specifically provides for monetary fines and jail time for anyone who pays for the protests. The senator specifically calls out George Soros as a person responsible for this societally disruptive and repressive criminal behavior. How do you like that, George? Ha ha ha! So today I'll explain why Soros and other liberal money men may have their financing of economic terrorism against America come home to roost. Yeah, along with the chickens. I'll also let you know how you can speak out to Congress and call for a bill to label illegal protests as a crime and call for a huge fine plus jail time for anyone like Soros who pays economic terrorists to disrupt the economy and society in your city. I've done several previous videos on George Soros, so hit the subscribe button, which should be appearing now, and search my channel for some more background on Soros and his Open Society Foundation. If you subscribe, well, you'll be notified when I publish new videos, so you might want to do that. Now, returning to the subject. It is reported by the Washington Times that George Soros has pumped $33 million into Black Lives Matter, which I'll sometimes refer to as BLM. Now, that doesn't stand for the Bureau of Land Management. That stands for Black Lives Matter, a group that has been funded by Soros and other radicals, and a group that wishes to do America harm. Other contributors to BLM include the liberal Ford Foundation and the far-left Center for American Progress. Progress right down to the United Nations building in New York. Sign up to be an unincorporated county of the United Nations and give up our Constitution. That's what the Americans for Progress want. Progress isn't in there for any bad meaning. It just stands for progressive. Globalist. Is that what it means? I think so. And then Black Lives Matter turned around and spent that money to pay protesters to riot and commit acts of violence at Donald Trump rallies. That's also widely reported. After Trump defeated Hillary Clinton, in spite of massive numbers of illegal aliens voting for Clinton, Black Lives Matter and other reported Soros-funded protesters rioted across the country. They were burning cop cars, throwing bricks through mom-and-pop store windows, and causing millions of dollars in economic damage. Donald Trump saw through this early on and called them out in March after violent paid protesters shut down a rally of his in Chicago. Now, take a look. Listen to what Donald has to say about this mess.
We have a right to speak. I mean, we are law-abiding people. We're people that work very hard. We're people that have built this country and made this country great. And we're all together, and we want to get along with everybody. But when they have organized, professionally staged wise guys, we've got to fight back. We've got to fight back.
Organized, professionally staged, paid, wise guys. You know what wise guys are. They're members of the mafia. Mexican mafia are wise guys. The Italian mafia in New York are wise guys. Well, now Soros is developing his own wise guys parade himself, it seems. I think truth will bear that out. Project Veritas revealed in an undercover video, and this was independently confirmed by the Washington Times, that the Hillary Clinton campaign was paying mentally ill. They had to go get crazies. They actually had to go get crazy people off the street. Well, anyway, they were paying mentally ill and homeless people to attack Trump supporters at his rallies. How you like that for lowballing Hillary? The Daily Caller news site, which is run by Tucker Carlson of Fox News, reported that the Black Lives Matter and the Clinton campaign were posting ads on Craigslist and paying $16 an hour for protesters to disrupt Trump's campaign events. Well, they specifically paid mentally ill thugs to punch, kick, and terrorize American voters. That's what Black Lives Matters do. That's what Clinton does. And therefore, that's what Soros appears to be doing. I hope he'll come forward and prove us wrong. I don't think he can. I don't think he will. But I'm asking him, come forward, George. Come forward and prove us wrong. Please show us facts that you didn't pay Black Lives Matter $33 million. Well, Breitbart News posted cell phone videos of these paid terrorists chasing down teenagers and tackling them and pelting people in the face with raw eggs, punching people, all for showing up at rallies to support their Donald Trump candidate. Every American has a right to petition their government for a redress of grievances. You have a right to protest, which is enshrined in the First Amendment. People watching my videos on this channel petition the government every day through our action pages. Well, this is what we do as Americans. This is what we do. But if you're burning cop cars, punching strangers in the face, and throwing a brick through the window of a Best Buy store or a mom and pop photo shop so you can loot it for a new flat screen TV or steal a camera, that's not free speech. That's economic terrorism. From the Ferguson riots in 2015 to the Trump rally protests this year, Black Lives Matter and other paid protesters have engaged in economic terrorism. Wealthy liberal donors paid money to these groups. The bill proposed by the Washington State Senator Erickson calls for up to 5 years in prison for the rioters, plus a fine totaling up to 3 times the amount of the economic damages that the protesters caused, levied against the money man if it's proven that they funded the riot. The senator's bill has even gained attention from Fox News. Here's what he had to say about the bill in his own words on Fox News.
The first thing to be clear about is you have a right to protest. And you can protest Mr. Trump all you want. You can misspell fascism on a sign and carry it around the streets. That's not what we're going after. Well, what we're targeting are the people that take it to the next level. You have a right to protest. You do not have a right to do harm to people or to personal property. And this is intended to protect the citizens of my state and people around the country from those that get out of control or from the organizers of these protests that get out of control.
The legislation is specifically aimed at protests that block transportation and commerce and do property damage. Protesting is one thing, and I wholeheartedly support the right of anyone to stage a protest. I do it all the time. But blocking off the highway and preventing people from getting to work and providing for their families is illegal. Also, the recent case where they blocked off a highway and a guy who was in very difficult medical shape in an ambulance died because he couldn't get to the hospital. And you know what? Smashing car windows and storefronts is illegal, and so too is impeding the flow of ambulances with ill people in them. Businesses can't make money if the customers are too frightened to go to the store because protesters are setting things on fire. I think Senator Erickson's bill is a great idea, but we need to call for a federal version of that bill. Even if Senator Erickson's bill passes, wealthy liberals can still fund groups outside of Washington to carry out commercial and economic terrorism around the rest of the country. But if a federal law is passed, we can penalize these left-winger anarchists for the damage they're doing to our country, no matter what state they're in. Even if they're out of the country, but so long as the activity that they're financing is in the country, we can still get them. You can help make this happen, and if you were frustrated at any point during the past year as these paid protesters were attacking your fellow Americans, turn that anger into good works today and notify Congress of what you want. Go to our action page and tell Congress to support and pass a federal version of the bill to declare illegal protests and act in economic terrorism. Let's throw these wealthy socialists in jail if they're convicted of financing this terrorism. Now, well, there's another thing that you should think of, and this is really rough, but it's going to happen. I think it's already happened to a lesser degree than what I believe will happen in the future. But let's say there's a spate of killings in a city like there was in Baltimore, or cop killings down in Texas like there was at the hands of Black Lives Matter folks, or at least people associated with them. And let's say you're a cop. And you're driving down the freeway and you see an angry bunch of people stopping the cars on the freeway, and you come up to that and you see these folks that got guns and they've got hammers and they've got bats and they've got batons, What are you going to do? Are you going to stop? Are you going to stop and let them come up to your car and beat you to death? Is that what you're going to do? I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is eventually there's going to be some of these yokels on the freeway, as there have been in the past in many areas around the country, and someone's just going to plow through them and kill 100 or 150 of them. And then that person who was in danger and felt that his life was in danger and he was in clear and present danger of being hurt or even killed, he's going to be pinned with being a mass murderer, when in fact the mass murderer was George Soros or whoever else paid those protesters to invade the freeway. This is what we're looking at. And I can see in certain instances where anti-Black Lives Matter people go out, steal a car, and just run down these kids for no other reason than to stop them. So the way to stop it and be logical about it, to be humane about it, to be societally proven about it, is to penalize the people that are paying for it. And that's a real story. That's the real crux of this issue. Get them before they have a chance to cause real mayhem. And you know what? I really, really hope that you participate in this campaign, because after Trump is seated and he's gotten his cabinet going and his appointments going, I can see Soros and these other sore losers just trying to tear the country apart. Some cop or some American or some guy anywhere just gets really PO'd and runs down a couple hundred of them. That's tragic. We can avoid this tragedy. Listen to what Bob Mallory has to say, follow his instructions, and tell Congress to get their action. Thank you very much. This is Charles Benninghoff, signing off and wishing you freedom, fulfillment, and God's many, many blessings.
Tell Congress to pass new legislation to fight back against economic terrorism. If you're watching this on our action page, use the form next to the video screen to select a program. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, click the icon appearing now to find a link to our action page, or check the video's description to find the link. Speak out today.